Hi, Niecie.
You
Hi,
see me all
Niecie.
right?
Yes, yes, I do.
Cool, cool.
I hear an echo on your end.
I don't know how.
Do you have one device open or two?
Just one.
Yeah, I don't know why I hear an echo.
Huh. Uh, I don't have it on my phone. I don't know. Is there let me see if there's two sessions open, maybe?
Maybe. That's the only reason why it would be two. I only see you open one.
Yeah, I only have one open.
Maybe it has
I
to
don't
do with
know.
your mic. Do you have any kind of like a reverb in your background or anything?
No. I'm going straight from the computer mic.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I don't know. We'll just go forward. I kind of hear it though. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna close out and come back in. Maybe that'll
Yeah,
do it.
maybe go out and come back in. Yeah.
All right. Let me see what I'm doing here. Okay, let me close out. I'll come back in.
Okay.
Okay, cool. It doesn't show my picture though. Okay, wait, video. Hang on.
I see you have two open.
It's weird because I only clicked
Yeah.
on it once.
I know it's weird. So I'm going to try to close one.
Okay, cool. Let me.
And I hope you don't disappear. Let me see. I don't know which one you're on. Let's see. Okay. All right.
That
Good.
one.
Yeah. So I'm going to close the other one. Let's just make
Okay,
sure.
cool.
I'm going to
It's
just.
weird.
It's very weird. I know. I'm going to remove that one. If you disappear, then I'll know.
There we are.
All right. Good. All right. Good.
Now,
Very
do we
good.
have an echo?
No, you're good. You're good. You're
Oh,
good.
good. Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
All
It's
right.
usually that. It's usually that. Yeah. It's usually that. So very good. Nice to meet you. Pleasure
Yeah, you too.
after all these years, right? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So, all right, good. So, what I wanted to tell you is I have your bio, which is really very impressive, but I don't know how to introduce you. So, I mean, you have so much in your bio. So, do you want me to say that you're a solo artist in rock and in blues, or how do you want me to like? Because what I'm going to do is I have an intro song. The intro song is like a guitar riff by my friend, and the person that does the voiceover is the guy who's the son of Art Carney from the Honeymooners.
Mm-hmm.
It's the son, Brian Carney. Yeah. So he says the name of the show, but I usually get like one sentence, like introduce me like this, like singer, songwriter, producer, this, that, and the other thing. So I don't have that for you. So I don't know how you want me to like.
Okay, you could say, Ooh. Right?
Because I could give you a lot of things. I just want to make sure you would agree with it. But
Recording artist, singer,
yeah,
songwriter.
yeah. That's what
Can
I was going to say. Singer, songwriter, and recording artist. Is that correct?
Fireball from Detroit.
All right, good. I haven't mailed my books to you yet because I wanted to wait until the interview
Okay.
because you said to mail them to Michigan and I didn't know when you were going to be there.
I'm
So,
leaving tomorrow.
okay, all right, good. So
Yeah.
I'll mail them this week and then
Okay.
you'll get them. All right, good. Very good. So this is what a lot of people like doing my show because it's not technical. I don't talk equipment. I don't talk, anything that's really considered technical. It's really an opportunity for you to promote yourself, to talk about your history. Some of the guys want to talk about things that they never get a chance to talk about, like going through recovery. Some of them actually had, like, they had to make a new beginning. Like they got out of a band or they went into a different type of music. So it's really their opportunity to kind of do that. I have a large platform on Instagram. So the radio show gets a lot of attention,
Cool.
but it's really I'm also taking the video and I'm cutting clips. So what I do is I'll send you a clip of the video. If you say like something that's like a really great story that a lot of people don't know about, then I can cut that clip like a minute and I could put it on as an Instagram story. So I did that a lot with people like Marco Mendoza. Like he wanted a lot on like his recovery. A lot of people don't know those stories. I did it with Billy Sheehan. I did it with a lot of the guys because they wanted like certain little stories like put out there.
Yeah.
So as long as you're
Okay.
okay with the video, to me it's a bonus. Some people say they don't want it. Other people it's just like a bonus. So it's really,
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see
yeah.
what it looks like when it comes
Okay.
out.
No, it's gonna look good because you're beautiful. So,
Yeah.
all right, good. Okay, so I'm gonna start and then I'll mute you. Okay.
Okay.
This is Bringing the Darkness to the Light with Catherine Nadal, professional psychic medium.
Today's guest is Niecie Blues. She is a recording artist, singer, and
Okay,
songwriter.
stop.
It is a pleasure to have you on, Niecie.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? It is a pleasure to meet you.
Can
You
we
and I.
can we start over because I don't go by Niecy Blues. My artist name is Niecy. Blues
Oh,
is just
okay.
for Facebook because they require you to have a last name.
Okay. All right.
Can we
Good.
start that over? Do you mind?
Yeah, sure. I'll turn it off.
This is Bringing the Darkness to the Light with Catherine Nadal, professional psychic medium.
Today's guest is Niecie. She is a recording artist, singer, and songwriter. It is a pleasure to have you on, Niecie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. You and I, we were passing ships in the night at NAMM. We didn't get to totally connect, and we had, so many opportunities. But scheduling and everything, I'm just glad I'm having the chance to chat with you now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So great. So I'm reviewing your bio and I'm just like blown away. Your whole career has just been so exciting and it's just been filled with what I call so many situations that were like meant to be, you know?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really nice. And sometimes you see that in people's lives where they start out going in one direction and it's just one conversation or one introduction, and then they're literally taken into another direction, another path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So tell me, how did you start into the world of music?
Well, I mean, I could go way back. When I started musical theater at 8 years old, I was in a lot of musical theater, worked my way up, kept doing that for quite a long time. I started doing bands, of course, like in high school, uh, what would be called classic rock today. It was current rock then. Um, and just kept going at it. And then I was out in Boston and I took some auxiliary classes at Berkeley. And that's when I established myself as a recording artist. That was in the early 90s. So from there, it just kept snowballing. And here we are today.
Wow, it's so interesting. So when you go back to when you're a child, like going back to like 8, was your family musical in any way, or where did you find the encouragement to go?
Yeah, my mom was very musical. She played the keys. So we had, the big organ in the house with all the flip buttons and stuff. My dad just loved jazz. He turned me on to old school jazz and like Artie Shaw and all that from back in the day, a big band. He played air saxophone at weddings and stuff like that. He'd take his hanky out and shape it into a saxophone and do his thing. But anyway, so yeah, I grew up with a lot of music, and then I had a brother that was a lot older. He was in Vietnam, rest his soul. So I got turned on to all that Woodstock stuff when I was young. So like when little girls my age were listening to the Partridge Family and all that, I was Jefferson Starship. I was that all of that. Listening to all the Woodstock, Uriah Heep, Bad Company. you know. So, and that's where I get a lot of my rock roots, starting young. So, yeah.
Wow, that is so fun. That is really a lot of fun. It's so great to be in an atmosphere where it's encouraged. Not everyone has that. So, how did you feel about deciding to become a singer, though? Did you feel drawn to trying any instruments, or you just clearly knew you were going to just be singing?
I picked up a lot of instruments, and I don't know if I have ADD or whatever the case may be. I'm really I played by ear. I never took lessons, so I'd pick them up and learn them, and I'd get bored. And that it started like when I was 14. I played guitar. I picked up the bass like in my 30s. I'm in mid 60s right now. Keys. Um, I picked up the saxophone for a minute in college. Uh, I don't know. I just felt more driven to be, a front person. Although, you can be a front person, play guitar and all that stuff, but I'm really into lyrics. I used to write a lot. I used to write, from when I was young. I wrote a lot. I won awards for my poetry when I was, in elementary school. And I wrote a book that got published, Trip into Tomorrowland. My mom was also a artist, drawing, so I did the writing part. She did the illustration, and it got picked up by Walt Disney. And I was like 10 years old. I won the young author concert. I have poems, obies, so I'm really into lyrics. So, and that kind of really drew me into singing and writing my own music. So, yeah, I really felt drawn into it. But with the little bit that I've messed around with instruments, it's really helped me work with all the cats, whether in the studio or on stage, because I do have music theory knowledge. So, where a lot of singers don't, from what they tell me. So it's a bonus. I'm sitting here next to me. I've got a bass, a guitar, and all that. It's like every once in a while I'll pick them up, and goof around. But at my age, I'd be competing with people that have been playing for 40 years. Right? Although, what I'm doing though is I think I want to add to my act where I do end up playing some, a couple songs on the guitar, add to the act and, keys. I ended up acquiring, I don't know if you knew Johnny Neal from the Allman Brothers. He was my producer for, I don't know, since like 2012. And it was actually on my debut CD back in 2002, but he recently passed. I don't know if you know that, but I acquired his Nord keyboards. So I'm going to be brushing up on those. I think that'd be cool to add to my act, you know. So yeah.
Absolutely. So you spoke earlier about going to take some courses at Berkeley. What was that experience like for you?
Well, what it was, they were like auxiliary classes from um, graduates that were out there already doing it, and they were like boot camps. It was aggressive. Woo. You know, oh my Lord. But they cut the mustard where um, they actually took what you would normally learn at Berkeley and cut out all the crap. Like they said, you don't need to learn circles of fifth. That's one thing that got me away from playing bass. When I first started taking lessons, I played with somebody that couldn't even, or was learning, that played by ear, which is cool, but he couldn't tell me the notes. You know, I mean, I gotta know, you know, I need to know the notes even though I'm playing by ear. So then I moved on and found someone else, and that first lesson he was trying to teach me the circle of fifths. That is so advanced. It's like I just gave up. So it was cool. Um, lot of knowledge, a lot of knowledge I gained out there. I go
Yeah.
back every once in a while. I haven't for a long time, but I used to skip a couple years and go back as a graduate of the course and retread. Never can, you know, not repeat too much, in my opinion, you know.
So great though. Yeah. I guess my question to you, because I'm so intrigued with you. When did you feel like you really found your voice? Because I've spoken to a lot of singers and they say over time they found where they actually felt that that was their true voice. It's kind of interesting where some people feel that their voice changes, and it's not like growing up changes, but that the style of music has changed their voice, or by being in certain bands where certain music has actually changed their voice. When did you have any experiences like that?
Um, yeah, actually, when I was studying in Boston, I lived right off of Mass Ave, and like there's all these vocal studios, and I turn the corner and there's Berkeley, and so I studied, um, and that's when I started discovering, you know, the style that I was suited for, you know, which was the blues, and also too, I kind of got a late start getting in the music business. I didn't jump into it until like my late 30s. So blues kind of was natural. There was no age thing going on. You know, if you want, you know, to come out and do pop when you're, you know, just starting out in your 30s or 40s. I mean, now, back then, though, it was different. Now it's, you know, like the Where's the Beef lady. She started her acting career when she's 80. So, I mean, who am I to judge? But um, so, uh, but you know, whenever I'm doing blues, a lot of people are like, "Girl, I mean, you're a rocker." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." So that's why I do blues rock. I put out a couple CDs that kind of were on the contemporary side of blues. Um, they did well, but this next one, I'm working on one right now. It's gonna rock, definitely rock.
Wow. So tell
Yeah.
me about how you got involved. Like, what was your first CD, or how did that experience come about for you?
Wow. Okay, that's a story right there. I went to a jam in Detroit, in the hood, rough neighborhood. Johnny B. Gaden, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's played with Albert Collins and a whole bunch of, he's a bass player. And he was part of the jam. He and I were friends. So I'd go up there. And there was always the same crowd, a couple new people here and there, but the one night I went. And there's all kinds of new cats. And I'm like, well, cool, right? So I ended up getting on stage with some of them. And when we got off, the drummer, who is Neoshi Jackson, said, you know what? I can do something with you. He goes, you need to come to Nashville. And I'm like, how many times we all heard that stuff? I can do things. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but you know what? I took a leap and I came down and I checked it out, and he was for real. So that's when I started my first release. I started working on it in 2000. Um, I went into and it turns out he was hooked up. I went into my first session and I just like, oh my God, right? There, Johnny Neal from the Allman Brothers was on the keys. Brian, I can't remember his last name, from Eddie Money. There, I mean, someone from Dave Mason. I mean, it was just, whoa. So it's like one thing my dad taught me was, shh, be quiet, learn. That was, that was my first real session. I made demos in Detroit and stuff like that, but this was real. So I sat and I soaked up stuff like a sponge. And I learned from the best right off the bat. So blessed. I can't even say anything. All coming from that ghetto jam in Detroit. So that's how it all came to be.
That's amazing. So that being your first CD, what kind of, as like feeling new to the music scene in that regard, how much participation could you have had with that CD? Did you feel that they were guiding you along, or did you feel like you actually could say that you liked certain things better than others? Because usually the first recording is always tough, where you either feel like you're guiding them or they're guiding you.
I did song selection. At that time, I wasn't writing like I am now. Like now, on my CDs, I might have one or two um, other recordings on there from other songwriters, but they're mainly me. But then I wasn't writing like I am now, so I only had like a couple of my originals, and then I got uh, just tons of. He went out and asked people to pitch me, so they'd come in and their guitars and they pitch me, and that's how I came up with my song selection. Um, and then I talked a little bit about on groove on how I wanted some of them, but musically, since I was an adept of 20, 30 years of an instrument, I knew when to shut up, right? So I let them do that whole musical end of it. But I had a great part in it, good part in it. The one thing that I was shy on that I didn't realize the depth of the work involved is the marketing and the radio. Boy, I know now, right? And I learned by the second one, but if I didn't have anyone in that area school me or any mentor at that time. So actually, I took a lot of the tunes off of there that were more that could be played on top 40, and some of my newer stuff and I did a top 40 release, and it went over great. I hit the charts all over the place. And that was, God, 10 years later I did that. So I revived it. You know what I mean? The songs got heard where maybe they didn't before because I didn't have the push behind it, as far as all the busy work of a
Yeah.
release.
Yes, well, you make a good point though, but also the timeline when you go back to when your first CD was coming out, if it was 20 or 25 years ago, marketing was a lot different than it is now. In a strange way, people think social media is tough. In other ways, it's so easy. You just sing your song or you play your instrument and it's like viral. If you're lucky, it's viral. And so when you go back 20 or 25 years ago, the internet wasn't anywhere near where it is
Right.
now. So you were really relying on word of mouth, paid advertising, which was always difficult to get. And it was also mostly people saying they saw you or they heard you or other people were playing your stuff. But
Right.
but it was really like word of mouth back then.
Or what I did too was, and I still do this today in circumstances where I can't have a whole band go with me on radio promotion tours, but I take all my tracks without my vocals in it. Well, back then I'd go and I'd grab like the janitor and then this and that, so there'd be dudes in the background, sound like there's more than me. And then I would perform the songs to the tracks. I don't feel the need to do all that silly stuff anymore. But
That's so
hey,
funny.
back then you did what, like you said, things were different. I mean, now it's like, gosh, I'm reaching people all over the world that I don't even know. I mean, the internet is just fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's really amazing. So from that first CD, how did you get on to going to the next one? You've had more than one CD put out. So what is the kind of path of those CDs?
Well, there's a big story there. Um, about 5 days after my release, um, I had been in Atlanta for a show and do a radio interview, and on the way back, I was in an accident with a semi truck, and I was pronounced dead on the scene. God willing, he knocked on. Hey, you ain't coming. You're not ready yet. You're going. Get back, right? So, and I was pretty racked up for 6 years, and I was in a wheelchair, the old beeswax. And so if you look at my debut CD and my sophomore CD, there's 9 years difference. So once I got better, I got totally wiped out financially, of course, medical bills, not being able to work, that whole beeswax. Um, so once I got better, it took me a couple few years to get the funds up and to get back into the mix again. And I reconnected with Niecie again. Um, and so that's the story behind that one. So there's people are like, man, why'd you wait so long? Well, let me tell you my story. So yeah, yep.
Wow. So if we could just touch on that experience, as difficult as it was, did you feel that going through all of that changed how you made your comeback? Did you feel that you saw singing or sending out a message differently than you did with your first album?
Absolutely. Now, when I can't release the sophomore one, I was debating, do I want to throw the comeback story out there? Because I'm one of these, it's like, I don't like people seeing me, seeing me when I'm down. And I was pretty wrecked. And so when I came back on the scene, I actually was a victim of a lot of meanness. There were stories that, I killed somebody. I was in the jail. I tried to commit suicide. I was in a loony bin. All kinds of stuff that I had to beat. And at that time, Facebook was up in 2011. It had been out for like 3 or 4 years. So um, I decided not to share my story because I wanted my music to stand on its own. I didn't want people, diving in because the violins, feeling sorry or whatever the case may be. So I didn't share that story. Actually, I didn't start sharing that story up until like maybe 5 years ago. And that was the accident was in 2002. So I kept it to myself. I don't mind talking about it now. But yeah, it was kind of, it was kind of weird, all the different things that people put in their mind because I disappeared.
Yes, I'm sorry that happened to you, but sometimes, very often, the public, especially when you are considered a public figure, sometimes people are unhappy when they have like an open-ended sentence. They have to fill it with something. People
Right.
they don't like question marks hanging in the air. They want to fill it. They want to fill it with anything, some kind of closure. People need closure, and it's not even their story. And, I find that very unfortunate, but I'm glad. I mean, it sounds like a miracle, what you went through in your experience. But,
Yeah.
do you feel that the physical part of that gave you a different strength in like your music or your voice?
Oh yeah, I mean, and not to, a lot of people may not believe this or whatever the case, but like I said, I was pronounced dead on the scene, but I did cross over. So I have a third eye like you wouldn't believe now, right? And it gave me a lot more depth to my songwriting. That's when I really started songwriting and choosing tunes that reflected my experience, whether I'm the only one that knew it subliminally or not. But yeah, yeah, definitely. And as I was going through it, it's like, you know, before I put out the second CD, I didn't know if I was going to go back into it. So much time had gone by. But I'll tell you what, a piece of my heart just was just not beating with not doing music. I have to do something with music. You know what I
That
mean?
that I understand. When you said that, it just reminded me of Janis Joplin with the piece of my heart. Like it's literally like screaming out of you when you
Right.
have something that is to me like a gift that you're born with. And it's
Yeah.
very hard to
Yeah.
silence those gifts. It's really amazing. So how many of these CDs or albums that you've put out over time?
This will be my eighth.
So
And I
impressive. You just say that like it's my eighth. Like it's like, okay, but that's very impressive. I'm like,
thank,
wow.
thank you, thank you. Well, and I don't have it like that where, you're supposed to put one out a year, once a one out every 18 months. I got 3 years or whatever in between each. I'm cool with that because sometimes it blows up further down the road than when you release it. And I'd love to be able to do it all the time, one year, but I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it, you know.
Listen, eight is very impressive. There's many people that are just satisfied with having one or two. But,
Yeah,
I believe it's also the circles that you're in that have allowed you to continue to make the music that you make, you know?
right. Well, and I'll tell you this, down here in Nashville, I'm running with top dogs, A-listers, and they are so gracious, and they are so gracious on the money. You know what I mean? It's just like they want us to succeed, and they want to wrap their arms around us, and they don't want to kill us financially. You know what I mean? So they're very gracious. I mean, it's incredible what what these guys are willing to do. And and a lot of them I've been working with now since my debut CD. So we're like this. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes they've come in and done stuff for free, so
That's amazing. So I wanted to be able to start discussing some of your songs. You have a song called Strange Way. Tell us about that because we're going to be able to play that during the interview.
okay. Um, I love that song. I didn't write that song. Chris Anderson did, if you're familiar with him. He used to be with the Outlaws and Allman Brothers, Dickie Betts, and all that. He just now joined Marshall Tucker Band as of a few weeks ago. Um, and I just love that song. There was something, I don't know, when I get on stage and I do that song, I like drift. It's really weird. I just really get into it in a way that I don't with any of my, with, some of my other songs. Um, And it's a rocker. I love it, and he's a great songwriter. And he's playing on it. You know, but that one is a Chris Anderson tune. Yeah.
That's great. Well, we're going to play it now. So this is where my audio engineer will drop it in. I actually have to say that sentence, so he drops it
Right.
in.
Right. Right.
All right, cool. Very good. Wow. Wow, you have such an exciting life. I know that you are very busy. In your bio, it says that you've received a lot of awards and honors. One of them is being recognized in women in the music industry. Tell me about how you've been recognized in the music industry, as one of the leading women.
Since I came back on the scene with the sophomore release, I started up, or didn't start up, but I was part of the initial growth of National Women in Blues. And it's grown like huge. Um, it's so much support and so much love, and we do a showcase every year in Memphis during the International Blues Challenge. Um, and then some of the awards I've won, they have the male and the female category. So, that's where that came in, so um and I've been surrounded by such strong women, and we all just support each other, big time. And that's just so refreshing because that's not usually the case sometimes, right? Um, but yeah, that's how I kind of started that whole movement.
So, in speaking of that, have you been involved in any like competitions for women or judges for women or in some sort of mentorship programs for women?
Um, Well, I was mentoring with the National Women in Blues, because there's newbies that come up all the time, and get involved. So there's that. Um, right now, I'm a Grammy mentor from Grammy U, and I happen to have a young lady that I'm mentoring. So that's kind of cool. She's at Belmont going to school. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
So, what is Grammy U like? How do the students get involved with that, or what is the selection process?
I'm not sure how they get involved. I know that I got an application to be a mentor because I've been a voting member since, I don't know, actually my debut CD, or no, not my debut, my sophomore CD. And I'm not sure how they get in though. But I know I had to, fill out a bunch of stuff, and they had to look at my background and, see if I had anything to offer the next generation. So, and then I got my welcome letter. Yeah, so this is my first year doing it.
Wow, it must be so exciting, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. So, I wanted to go on to your next song. The next song that we were going to discuss is called Wanted Woman. Tell me more about that song.
Um, that's a song I wrote with Johnny Neal. And then also another co-writer who I'm also working with. Him and Johnny had been best friends from way back to Delaware days before they all came to Nashville. So um, I wrote that song when I was being pulled in a bazillion directions, and I had some ghosts from the past trying to get at me, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. Um, Exes, whatever. And then just uh, I felt like I was a wanted woman, and just if you listen to the words, um, nobody could catch me. With some of the words, I'll be on the run until my doomsday comes. I'm a wanted woman. You can't catch me. You can come and get me. But yeah, and actually that's the title track of that CD. I think that was my fourth or fifth CD. And actually it was in the Grammy nominations. That was back before the Grammys uh, sliced and diced the blues category. There used to be like 10 categories, songwriter, this and that. Now it's traditional blues, contemporary blues. That's it, you know. So, so that's cool. That CD put me on the map. And I really dig the groove. It's real mysterious. I really enjoy performing that one too.
Wow, I love that, especially since you can kind of go back to a period of your life where you actually felt like you were living out the lyrics, which is always kind of fun.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. So you probably, other than these wonderful gentlemen that you've played in these bands with, so who are some of the other dynamic women in music that you've been able to either perform with or collaborate with?
Well, Sean Murphy, if you're familiar, yeah, you know Sean.
Yes, yes,
Do
yes.
Sean. Um,
She's wonderful. She does a lot of work with my cousin Tommy Del
yeah,
Rossi.
yeah. Um, God, who else? There's ladies here, Marky Blue. I don't know if you're familiar with her. And then another friend, Anna Marie. She does more country. So that's been an experience for me. I'm in Nashville, and I got to be careful because it says Country Town USA, but I'm from Detroit. They didn't even have a country station up until recently. Okay?
That's so funny. I know, but Nashville really has changed because I have a lot of friends that are in rock and they're all in Nashville. So I think over
Right.
the last like 15, 20 years, Nashville is kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
evolving. Yeah.
Yeah. Another person that I work a lot with, and she's like my soul sister, is Pam Taylor. I don't know if you saw her during the NAM or whatever. She was all over the place. I think she went to one of the gigs you went to. I'm not sure, but I work a lot with her. Um, she does a lot of my videos, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many. I can't even. Right, you catch me off guard. I can't even think right now.
Yeah,
But
no, it's great. It's a lot of fun actually, and I also think, I mean, it's probably a fair statement that when you do collaborate with other people, especially women, you realize how many different styles people have.
yeah.
You have your way of working, and other people may have their way of working, and then you find out that there's some things you could pick up along the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wanted to mention another song called Cross the Line. What is that song about?
Well, that's actually a single that I recently released that's going to be on my upcoming CD. We let it go right before Johnny died. And, we're going to keep going and, do the waterfall release and then but he passed. So I needed time because that kind of, his passing pretty much devastated me. I mean, he was my producer for 14 years when he passed. So, we're gonna get it on give it its just due on the new release, but um, boundaries. It's about boundaries. You got to set boundaries and limitations. And the older I get, boy, is that shrinking it down. Um, I just don't have time for a lot more. You know what I mean? Like I used to tolerate. It's just don't cross the line. If you know what your boundaries are, don't push it. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what that one. That one's a rocker too. So, yep.
Wow. So tell me what's going to be happening in the next year for you. Like, give me a little bird's eye view on your near future. What are the plans?
Well, we're in the midst of writing the last couple of tunes for the CD. And the next 3 weeks. I'm going to be getting in the studio and starting to lay them. And I'm trying to figure out, I almost want to go with a label, but I don't know. So, that's one thing I'm going to be doing is, in this near future is checking out, um, see if there's any advantage, to it, than being an independent. Um, and then I'm going to be doing some booking behind the CD. I kind of took a little time off from doing festivals and stuff. I had a hip replacement, so and it took a while. And they're like, "Oh, 2 months, you'll be up on your feet." Are you kidding me? Okay, buddy. Surgeons, they got to sell themselves, you know. But so I needed to take some time off. And I'm kind of glad I did. I gave myself, I'm refocused on the direction of my music because this one's going to be a crossover. I'm really looking there's some blues rock on it, but I'm really pushing for that rock scene. Um, and in the blues, I mean, I know everybody. I need some more stimulation. I mean, I love everybody, don't get me wrong, but I want some other avenues, and then there's other opportunities, I could open up for a rock band, whatever, as I'm digging my heels in, but that's pretty much it. It's
Wow,
enough.
it is. I know. It sounds very exciting. So, are we able to play Cross the Line to finish the interview?
Sure.
Okay, all right. So now what I'm going to say is just plug your social media. So let people know how they can find you and how they can get your music.
Okay. Let's see, on Facebook, Niecie Rock and Blues is my page, and then my wall is Niecie Blues. Um, Instagram is Niecie Rock and Blues. YouTube is Niecie Rocks It. Everyone's telling me you gotta have them all the same. You send them a link, they click. What's the difference, right? Straight up Niecie on TikTok. Um, my website is www.niecie.net, and you can find my music everywhere. All you gotta do is Google, and it all comes up. Whatever your preferred method of listening to music is, I'm there.
That is so great. Wow. All right. Well, thank you again. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. You're one of the greatest women leading the face of music right now and a great representation for blues and for rock. It has been a pleasure to have you on. And
Thank you so much.
thank you. We're going to roll out with your song, Cross the Line. Thank you. Okay, good. So we recorded 40 minutes, and your songs are probably 5 to 6 minutes each. Would you agree?
Maybe 4. They're radio ready, so they're probably 4 or less.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. If we
Do you
have,
need another one?
well, we didn't mention another one. So, sometimes if we're a little short, he'll actually rap the last song and play it like a second time. So it'll just like roll into itself again. Like
Oh,
if we're,
okay.
we're a little short on the end. We had one person that was really shy. Like they did not want to talk. We ended up rolling their song like 3 times. I was like, just keep playing it. Believe it or not, I've done over probably 140 interviews in less than 3 years. And some of the younger people are harder to interview because they haven't lived a life yet. They don't have all the stories, So I'm like trying to pull it out of them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, do you mind if I take a picture of our screenshot for promo?
Oh, sure.
Cool.
All
Thank
right,
you.
good. Text that to me and then I can do it too.
Okay, let me do it. I cut part of you off. Whoop, my
All
bad.
right.
Let me there we go. Cool. All
All right,
right.
good. Yes.
Excellent.
Text that to my cell. That's cool. And do you know one of the guys I know that's in rock is kind of in Nashville? It's Ryan Spencer Cook. Do you know him?
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Yeah, I want to, if you reach out to him, tell him you know me. He hasn't done my show, but I spent kind of a lot of time with him because he was in Ace Frehley's band, and Ace died recently.
I know.
Yeah, so
Oh my
he's,
God, I had a hard
yeah,
time with
so
that. I love
I
Ace.
know, I know, I know. And I was backstage with them because I'm friends with people in Aldo Novo. So I was backstage with them like twice within the last 2 years.
Let me
So
get on Facebook and try and find him.
yeah, so he's there. His name is Ryan Spencer Cook, and he's also going to be starting up an Ace Frehley tribute with a very good friend of mine. My friend is Matt Starr, and he did the drums for Ace. And Matt Starr is a not just drummer, but he's also a professional coach. I do coaching with him. He helps me because I'm a professional psychic medium. So he usually coaches people in the music business.
Okay.
I'm probably one of his only non-musician clients, but he really trains you to really, because I have a small business. I'm a veteran-owned business, and a lot of decisions that come my way. He helps you make decisions where you're not putting your heart into it, like you're making a business decision, like stop, who cares what they think? Who cares what they think? He trains you to think that way. Like, just stick to the facts. Like, what are we looking at? What do you need to do? How's it going to help you? Forget about them. Forget about them. Forget about that. Like, before I met Matt, I had a really hard time with that because I'm a retired Army colonel. I'm used to telling other people what to do. And a lot of times in business, people are asking you to do things, so I always want to say yes to everything. Like, I want to keep people happy. And then, so Matt was like, hey, you're saying yes, but it's not making you happy. So, like, you have to either ask for more money or you have to, like, he's really, like, over the past year, and he knows it because I tell him all the time, but he's changed my business like 150%.
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So you
Good.
may want to reach out to him too. His name is Matt Starr, and it's Starr. He was the drummer for Ace for a long time. I think he did 6 albums with Ace, and he was also the drummer in Mr. Big. He did a lot of work with my friend Billy Sheehan.
There he is.
Yeah.
Has he got a goatee?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. So friend him and then send him a private message and tell him that I told you about
Okay.
him because he's a big rock guy, but they're also putting together this Ace Frehley tribute
Oh my
thing.
God, that's too cool.
The two of them are together, yeah. So you'll start seeing Matt like advertising it, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right,
Awesome.
good. Well, I give you
All
a
right,
big
well,
hug.
thank you so much.
Yes, yes.
Hoping I get to see you in person. Now,
Yes.
you're in New York, are you? Right in the heart?
So,
Or?
yeah, so Monday through Friday, I still work as a nurse at the Bronx VA, but I live in a little town called Bronxville, which is right next to Yonkers. So I'm in New
Okay.
York, like I'm going to New York City tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm in New York City all the time. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Well,
Yeah.
maybe you make it out there. Or
Yes,
come to
yes, yes.
Nashville.
Yeah, well, coming to Nashville is probably more believable because I already promised Tommy I
Right.
have to visit him. So
There you
I
go.
have to see his studio.
Yeah.
His mom and I were first cousins, but we were really like sisters, me and his mom. We actually
Okay.
looked more like each other than my real sister. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Very good.
All
Well, I'll
right.
give you a big hug over Zoom.
All
Send
right.
me that picture and I'll send it out. We'll do like an Instagram story.
Okay, cool.
All right,
Sounds
good.
good.
Thank you.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.